friend, you've got the skills, but you're still struggling to turn them into a profitable business idea. But without a system to stress test your idea, you're squandering your time and gambling with your income. I am going to walk you through my 10-point business idea validation system that I built and used with over 250 consultants, so you'll launch with clarity this year and build an offer you're proud and ready to sell. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Faris Al-Halou, and this is exactly what I've been doing for over 20 years. I've built 7 businesses, generated over $65 million in revenue, and scaled digital marketing consulting firm Enor to 8 figures before I sold it to global media giant Dentsu. Let's get into it. Before you even test an idea, there's one mindset shift that can make or break your chances of success. What if the biggest risk isn't picking the wrong idea, but getting too attached to it? See, you get excited about starting a podcast consulting firm. You start planning your website, you hire a logo designer, maybe even announce it on LinkedIn. But you haven't validated if anyone is actually asking for this service. This is what happens when you fall in love too early. It blinds you to the flaws. Instead of asking questions, you start defending the idea. Behavioral science calls this confirmation bias. When we believe in something, we start ignoring anything that challenges it, including red flags. That's why I always say treat your idea like a hypothesis, not a baby. A hypothesis is something to test, not something to protect. Back to our podcasting example. Instead of saying, I'm starting a podcast consulting firm, reframe it to, I'm testing whether busy people will pay for help launching branded shows. The biggest risk isn't testing a weak idea, it's falling in love with it before you test anything at all. So how do you know if an idea is worth pursuing? Instead of guessing, what if you could run it through a proven filter? Here's the truth. A weak idea costs months of energy with nothing to show for it. You'll spin your wheels creating offers, building websites, and posting content, all while ignoring the root problem. You didn't validate the idea to begin with. Gut instinct isn't enough. You need a system that pokes holes in your idea before the market does. And let me be clear, this isn't about being negative. It's about being realistic, disciplined, efficient. That is what this 10-point system is for. Let's walk through it and save you time, money, and energy. And if you like, you can pause this video and download a copy of my 10-point business idea validator linked in the description and use it as I'm going through this video. Point number 1, problem and solution. Every viable business idea starts with a real painful problem. But too many consultants skip this and jump straight to services. I help companies create impact-driven content. What does that mean? What pain does it solve? If there's no pain point, there's no urgency to buy. Nice to have doesn't sell, especially in a skeptical B2B market. The best idea solve a problem that costs time, money, or stress, and the buyer already knows they have. So instead of saying impact-driven content, you can say, we help HR leaders reduce turnover with storytelling-based onboarding. That is specific, that is valuable, that is relatable. If your idea doesn't clearly solve a painful, specific problem, it's not a business, it's a guess. According to Harvard Business School, over 35% of startups fail because of poor market fit, not poor execution. Meaning These founders built something nobody really wanted. You can, of course, prompt AI to research the solutions you're offering, but it's not a replacement for speaking with real people, your potential buyers, to have a thorough understanding of the problem. You can download my 10 plus 5 worksheet linked in the description to help you identify the problem and the solution. Point number 2, niching down. When you're starting out, it's tempting to serve everyone, but generalists get ignored, specialists get chosen. If you say, I do marketing strategy for small businesses, that could mean 500 things to 5,000 people, which means no one feels like it's for them. Broad positioning makes marketing harder. Your message gets diluted. No one knows who you are for or why they should hire you. And here's the fear. If I go narrow, I'll miss out. But in practice, specificity builds traction fast. So instead of marketing strategy, say, I help law firms rank on Google and get visibility in ChatGPT. That is narrow. That is sharp. You don't need a wide audience. You need a specific one who already wants what you offer. They do say riches in the niches. Point number 3, ride the wave. Trends aren't just noise, they're signals of shifting demand. The right wave can carry your business farther, faster. Like offering remote team culture workshops right after everyone's been called back to the office. Wrong wave and wrong time. Fighting against change creates uphill battles, but the right trends, whether it's AI, compliance, or privacy regulations, unlock fresh urgency. The key is timing. It's important to make that move when demand is fresh and urgent. Point number 4, boring is bountiful. Not every winning idea is flashy. Some of the best ones solve tedious, overlooked problems. Skipping over something like compliance or reporting because it's not exciting enough. Flashy markets are crowded. Sexy trends attract more hype than budgets. But boring problems, they quietly drain time and money, and companies pay to fix them. I remember after we became one of the top Google certified partners in analytics, we got the chance to resell one of the Google products. The margins were solid. And most of those deals, no fancy strategy work, no fancy implementation, no custom architecture. We were just reselling. It wasn't sexy to be called a reseller, but those amazing margins helped skyrocket our growth on the way to 8 figures. And that momentum, it is what later attracted top brands like Salesforce for high-end strategy and implementation work. Point number 5, unsaturated market. It's easier to stand out in a space that isn't packed. Saturation isn't just about volume, it's about sameness. If everyone's saying the same thing, clients tune out. You don't need a brand new idea. You need a different angle, a lane you can own. One consultant I worked with positioned his offer as fractional CMO for manufacturing firms in the Midwest. Same skills, zero noise. It's easier to stand out in a space that isn't packed, especially if you move fast or spot overlooked opportunities. And as a reminder, you can download a copy of my 10-point business idea validator linked in the description and use it as I'm going through this video. Point number 6, ecosystem leverage. Your business doesn't have to stand alone. Aligning with a bigger platform or a bigger brand can give you some built-in momentum. Building a whole new offer from scratch with zero audience, zero traction, and zero platform will make it more challenging for you because starting from zero is slow and exhausting. But ecosystems like HubSpot, Shopify, Webflow, Salesforce come with pre-built demand and trust. You don't have to educate the market, you just have to serve it. Ideas grow faster when they support a bigger platform, a bigger product, or an ecosystem that has built-in demand. Point number 7, founder idea fit. The idea might be good, the market might be ready, but are you the right person to pull it off? A data engineer trying to sell C-suite storytelling services because it's a hot market. If it feels forced, it probably is. Skill mismatch leads to burnout. And your audience can feel when you're out of alignment, so can you. A great idea in the wrong hands is still a bad business. A quick caveat here. I'm a big believer in learning new skills. So if you spot an idea that doesn't require capabilities you don't currently have, that's not an automatic no. But it is a signal. Be honest with yourself and then be willing to put in the reps to get competent. Point number 8, speed to first dollar. Time is a resource you can't afford to waste. Spending 6 months building a course before you've sold anything, you don't need scale yet, you need signal. A small paid workshop, a pilot offer, or a paid audit can give you momentum and market feedback fast. And when I say speed to first dollar, I don't mean rushing. It's about reducing the time between idea and real world signal. Not spending 6 weeks polishing a pitch deck. That's where AI saves you. You can use ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or other specialized tools to help you generate lightweight assets like a simple sales page or a service one-pager, a cold outreach plan, a 3-step pilot offer you can test with a real client. Ensure your prompts are thorough and complete, but even with that, will the output be perfect? No, but it gives you something to shape fast. And if you're looking for thoughtful, thorough prompts, check out my proposal toolkit linked in the description for examples you can apply right away. Remember, your goal at this stage isn't scale, it's signal. And AI can help you get that signal in a matter of hours. If the business idea and the service can't generate revenue fast through pre-selling, piloting, or small paid work, it might starve before it scales. Point number 9, willing wallets. Even a great service will fail if your buyer can't say yes or doesn't have the funds. Trying to sell a $5,000 strategy package to creators who have never hired help before. I love it but can't afford it is not a win. If your buyer doesn't have budget and decision-making power, you're stuck. So either focus on buyers who can afford your service or find smart, strategic ways to repackage what you offer at a lower price point. If your buyer can't afford you or doesn't control the budget, you're not in a business, you're in a dead end. Point number 10, stress test. Hope isn't a strategy. Stress test your idea now, the market won't pull punches. Saying, I think this will work without identifying any weaknesses. Every idea has friction points. Maybe it takes too long to explain. Maybe sales cycles are slow. Maybe your buyer has to convince 5 stakeholders. You don't need to be pessimistic, but you do need to be prepared. Ask, what has to go right? What could go wrong? And can you survive a slow start? because optimism alone won't pay the bills. Now, if you're ready to start your consulting business but short on ideas, watch this video here. I'll walk you through 26 business ideas you can launch this year. It's not one of those generic idea lists. Those don't help you figure out what you could actually sell. This video does.